not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And today we're going to talk about mathematics. You know, they say that black people aren't good at math. You know, I don't believe that. You know, maybe some. But you know, when it comes to numbers, you know, especially with percentiles with black people, yeah, things get all misconstrued. And so I don't want to have to bust your bubble. I love this stuff. You know, when it comes to these percentiles, the black population, black prison population, unwed, single black mothers, you know, we tend to believe any sort of number, even especially if it's a high number, you know, and then panic. You know, we don't care if the numbers are accurate or not, or we don't look at it realistically. But you know, I know when you go into a store and you want your the cash register, the cashier to give you money back, you will want it to be precise. You don't want them to shortchange you. You know what I'm saying? That's where mathematics really count. But when people go into the percentile or black people doing that and this and that, you don't really care about the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Because you hear all sorts of different numbers and people will just switch and change the numbers to, you know what I'm saying, to promote their views or promote their agenda. Now, but I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying, in a lot of cases, numbers don't lie. So I'm just me doing, you know, some research and so forth. It's not adding. Shit is not adding up. And if you ever wonder why I'm not the type of person that bash black people or tell black people they got to get their shit together and this and that, I'm like, the average black person don't go to jail. The average black person works. You know what I'm saying? Is not a troublemaker. You know, the average black person is not on welfare. You know what I'm saying? Or government assistance, or not on government assistance real or heavy. Hence, even if they do have government assistance, they still work. Hence, majority of the black people that are on government assistance, they do have a job. They don't sit there and work. And government system helps them because of the our economy and minimum wage is so low, and that's due to capitalism and so forth. A lot of places not wanting to raise minimum wage up to $9 and this and that. But okay, let's go into the American prison population, or the percentile of blacks that are locked up, that are currently incarcerated right now. What do you think that percentile is? I could probably tell you any number right now, and you probably believe it. You know, I could tell you 30%, and you'd be like, oh, you know, I could even tell you 40%. But the current population of blacks that are locked up is 4.8%. Now, and unless I can be a little bit more liberal with that, conservative with that number, I round it up to 5%. And then if you figure the blacks that are on their way to prison, that wasn't in jail at the time they took this poll, or the blacks that are on probation and house arrest and this and that, we can round it up to 10%. 10% of the black population is incarcerated or on probation, parole, or being monitored by some way. Now, that's a high number. I'm not going to say percentile wise that's pretty high, but still, we still got 90% of black people that are not in trouble, that are not in the system, that are not criminals. So what about that 90%? We always talk about, oh, black people need to get it together and all this other stuff, but hence we got 90% of the black people that are doing good. It's actually the reverse. Hence, white racists have stated that 90% of black people are garbage and only 10% are hard working, when it's actually fucking reversed. 10% of black people are degenerates, other 90% are hard workers. Now, just because somebody's on welfare and on the system don't mean they don't work hard, don't mean they don't pay taxes. Hell, they got a job, they just get assistance when it comes to food stamps, assistance when it comes to paying their light bill, assistance when it comes to their housing, but they have to still pay partial rent. I'm like, hell, we stole the land from the Indians. Why the fuck you don't care about government assisted housing? It's just that people who just want to sit up there and mooch and not work at all and so forth, that I have a problem with, and people that just want to rag on other people for working and so forth when they live in assisted housing and so forth. Now, okay, now we got that out. We talked about, you know what I'm saying, the population of black people in jail. Now, of course, yeah, it's higher than white people. White people, it's like 1.7% of their population are locked up, you know, and they do represent, what, 60 to 64% of the population. Yeah, that's high. You know, I'm like, that's low compared to black people, but when you figure racism, social injustice, poverty, and when you know what I'm saying, and then also with the black prison population, who's going to be counted as black? When I look at the consensus, it always says white, non-Hispanic, Hispanics, blacks, Asian, you know what I'm saying, and maybe Native Americans, you know what I mean, but there's not a category for mixed people, nor for immigrants. So hence, you don't see black non-Hispanic. You know what I'm saying? So a black person who's half black, half Hispanic, or I would call them Mongoloids, because that's their scientific term for Hispanic people, Mongoloids. So half black, half Mongoloid, half black, half Caucasian, half black, half Asian, and then not only the immigrants that come over here. Yeah, there are immigrants that from Jamaican and Caribbeans that get caught up in the system too. Don't let these you know, I love it how these Caribbean people would have just looked down on us and so forth. But yeah, I worked inside of a jail. You know, either that or you have second generation immigrants that are locked up where their parents came from the islands, and I guess their parents did a shitty job raising them or whatever, and they're in the prison. So hence, all these people are wrapped up and factored into the black commonwealth. You know what I'm saying? And we just say, hey, black who's not mixed with anybody, who are direct descendants of slavery and not immigrants from the Caribbeans or West Indies or whatever, or Africa, because yeah, there are African immigrants getting locked up in jail too, believe it or not. And, you know, they're also going to be put in the numbers with black people. You know what I'm saying? Stir it all up and you make niggers stew. But they're going to also be in there. So hence, we don't even really know the accurate number of blacks, straight what considered black people, non-mixed people, direct descendants of slavery, and not foreigners or second degree foreigners that are locked up in jail. So hence, these numbers are inaccurate and can be misconstrued. But still, even if you factor all these other things in, only representing 4.8% of the prison population, another 4.8 that is on probation or on their way to prison, that's still not a lot. You still got 90% of black people that are staying out of trouble, that are going to work, that are, you know what I'm saying, and so forth, paying their taxes, thinking about their property value, and thinking about retirement and shit of that nature. When you even looking at this corner of YouTube, with like black dudes like me, Philly Just, Kevin Smith, Jimmy, Freddie, we actually represent the average black person. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, but you know, people don't want to look at it like that way. Even besides the persona here on YouTube, just going to work and taking care of their family and this and that, wanting to drink beer and watch football. Yeah, we are the status quo. You know, not wealthy, but not living in the gutter. And there's certain other black people that represent, you know what I'm saying, but we tend to let our degenerates, you know what I'm saying, be the focal point, be our symbolism. You know, the typical black dude that walks around and has 4 baby mothers and so forth, and be involved in gang banging. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, for some reason this person is our representative. You know, we stand back and we allow that to happen. You know what I'm saying? We should really just take this person, throw him in a dumpster and say, hey, this dude doesn't represent us. He represents the 10% of us that are just fucked up. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't represent the other 90% and so forth. It's like what I consider the public enemy theory. If you ever watch that you know what I'm saying, that rap group Public Enemy. You know, you have Chuck D, you have Flavor Flav, you have Terminator X and Security of the Third World. Chuck D represents smart, intelligent black dude that is very outspoken, you know, and so forth. You know, but you know, he comes from a strong family background. He comes from the middle class and so forth. But the fact that he's outspoken, super intelligent, you know, he's been to college. He represents a part of our population. And then you have Flavor Flav. Flavor Flav represents, he's like an ignorant gimp. You know what I'm saying? He's an oaf. I'm like, he's loud. He's obnoxious. I'm like, he's a talented individual. I'm like, he's the greatest hype man in hip hop history, no doubt about that. But his flamboyant colors he wears, you know, his outgoing personality, his loudmouth, his laughter, the fact that, you know what I'm saying, he's from the hood. I'm like, Chuck D and Flavor Flav didn't grow up together. You know, I think Flavor Flav is from Harlem, Brooklyn, well, but he's from the projects. I'm like, he has multiple baby mothers. You know what I'm saying? He's a drug addict. He's been in and out of jail. I'm like, he chases after white women. And a lot of people look at Flavor Flav and like, oh, he's bringing down Public Enemy. He's making Public Enemy look bad. I'm like, Chuck D knows what kind of person Flavor Flav is. Flavor Flav is doing what Flavor Flav does. He's not making Public Enemy look bad. He represents that percentage of black people that are just really kind of disorientated, I would say, and so forth. And then you have the security of the First World, the Terminator X. What's security of the First World? They're the security guards. They represent the silent, hard-working black men and so forth that is organized and got their shit together that people don't want to talk about. Also, you got Professor Griff, or Professor Griff represents the population of black dudes that are kind of conspiracy theorists that are so radical they get considered a racist, are very, very dangerous to their views are considered very dangerous to the white power structure. You know what I'm saying? The type of information he goes off of. Chuck D is similar to that, but Chuck D is more level-headed. He knows how to somewhat appeal to white people, you know, and so forth, than Professor Griff, who is all gun-ho. So hence, you take Flavor Flav's persona, he only represents just a percentile, not even the majority of, you know what I'm saying, the black population, but hence we'll allow the Flavor Flav, you know what I'm saying, to be us, and so forth, and then we'll talk about, oh, black people need to get together, oh, we need to get our chubs together, we need this and that. Hence, when the majority of black people aren't doing that. Now, hence, when you talk about the black commonwealth, do black people get treated in the justice system equally and so forth, and that we get more time in prison? Yes, that's a great concern. But that's a concern you have to take that up with white people. You can't just blame black people for all black people's problems. Hence, if the majority of black people are not caught up in a system, and that one of the major problems is white people not treating us fair, treating every single black person like we're an old dirty bastard, or we're an old Flavor Flav, that we're the gangbanger, that's white people's problem. So why the fuck will you rag on black people for what white people are doing to us? Hence, wouldn't it be smarter to rag on white people? But hence, these Genchis here on YouTube, these bootlickers, these snowflakes, you know what I'm saying, will believe in these misconstrued numbers, this ridiculous, and they will not give you accurate information because it goes against their agenda. Why would they? Why would Tommy Sotomayor give you accurate numbers and shit like that and break things down realistically, mathematically? No, it goes against what he's saying and so forth. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to rag on white people. He's going to rag on black people, you know what I'm saying, and make the 10% of black people seem like 90% of the black people, you know what I'm saying, and the 90% seem 10%. They reverse the roles and so forth because people do not think about things critically. Like hence what David Carl says. He says black people don't have critical thinking skills. I agree with him. And when a black person does think critically, they'll figure out that David Carl himself is full of fucking shit. So I'm only going by accurate numbers here. You know what I'm saying? You can try to make a rebuttal, you can protest against me, you can test me all you want, but hey, numbers don't lie. Now we're going into they say that 70%, so we'll agree that the prison population of America is about, counting juvenile, counting state prison, counting minimum security prison, everything all wrapped up, even counting the people on parole and being monitored, that's about 2.5 million, you know, all together. So therefore we have a hardcore prison population of about 1 million. So 1 million people that are just locked up in that are repeat offenders and so forth. You know what I'm saying? I'll even be more conservative and say maybe 1.5, so forth. So out of that 1 million or so, black people represent 34% of that, which, you know what I'm saying, that's high. You know, we're 34% of the prison population. Hispanics make up 20% and so forth. and whites represent maybe like I don't know. They tell you the percentage of white people in prison, but they don't tell you the percentage of white people that are actually in prison. The numbers, the prison population of white people, hence, and blacks represent 34% of the prison population. If Hispanics represent 20% of the population, okay, that's 54% of blacks and Hispanic. Asians have to represent maybe 1%. So whites have to represent more than 40% of the prison population, just going off consensus, even though they don't say it. Whites, non-Hispanic represents 40%, but hence only 1.7% of the white population are in jail. But out of the prison population, whites represent the numbers are close. But some people may say, well, blacks only represent 13% of the prison population of the U.S. population, and whites represent what, 69%. So of course it's still a high number. I agree with you. It's still an alarmingly high number, but it's still not as bad as propaganda makes it out to be, and so forth. Like, hence, you're not going to see pictures of jail cells full of white people. You know what I'm saying? You will never see that image, but it exists. I'm like, when you look at places like North Dakota, South Dakota, Colorado, Utah, you have to understand that when people look at prisons, they only look at San Quentin or these prisons, Cooks County, Chicago, that are Sing Sing, upstate New York prisons that are in coalition to major cities with a high black population, and so forth. But you don't see all these prisons and jails that are in these hucklebuck places. I can understand that a lot of the prisoners are bused to hucklebuck towns and so forth. You don't see jail cells full of white people, but they have to exist. You agree that there's, in every county, every state, there are state troopers, there are sheriff, there are police officers. America's real big in law enforcement. You know, and if there ain't any black people for cops to be assholes to, they're going to be assholes to white people. That means they're getting a lot of these poor white people that are, you know, public intoxication, drinking and driving, beating their wives, doing dumb shit, selling meth, and putting them inside their jail cells in their little fucking hickory dickory towns and so forth. So hence, there has to be jail cells out there that's full of white people, but you won't see that image. So I wish somebody would take a picture of that image and show it. I'm like, hey, even when I worked at a jail, there were whole entire dorms filled with white people. You know, or the majority of the white, you know, so certain dorms, overall I meant the majority of the people in jail were black. The blacks outnumbered the whites. Not much, not like this whopping 80% per 20%, no. But there were jail cells full. It's just that you don't see it. You won't see like when inmates go to court or whatever, you know what I'm saying, these long lines of white dudes handcuffed going to court. It exists. White people are going to jail. You know what I'm saying? There's a bunch of them in the system, but you just don't see that imagery. That imagery, they won't put you there, but they'll put the imagery of the black men in jail, and it furthers their propaganda. Hence, a lot of people say if they don't see it, it don't exist, and so forth. But going by numbers, yes, it does exist. So yeah, and now let's go into the going back into the well, okay, we agree that we'll say that overall there are 1 million black people that are either trapped in the system, on parole, or all messed up. 10% of our population, 5% or whatever. You know, it's a low percentile. Out of 45 million black people, there's only a prison population of 2.5 million people altogether, including all races. Blacks represent 34% of that. 2.5 million of the prison population, there's 45 million blacks. Even if there was 2 million black people in jail out of 45 million, that's not as bad as people say. I could say that 20 million black people are in jail. Most people believe it. They're like, oh yeah, I believe it because, you know, rap music and the media and so forth. No. You know, so it's still a very small percentile of going on. Hence,